acknowledge that the hijab is used as a method of oppression in some countries and that this also happens in Canada. But we are here today to counter the assumption that all women who wear the hijab are forced to wear it. Applying this powerful assumption to all women who wear the hijab is not only wrong, it is harmful. We are here today to learn from our Muslim sisters and to support one another.
The goal of this worldwide event is to encourage women of all faiths and backgrounds to learn from Muslim women about their personal experience in wearing a hijab. It's an opportunity for Muslim women who choose to wear hijab to share with other women from all faiths, backgrounds, and traditions.
Why am I here today? I'm here today to stand in solidarity with my Muslim friends, my colleagues, and fellow community members. I'm here today because there has been a rise in Islamophobia, which is fear or hatred of Muslims. I'm here today because women I care deeply about are experiencing an increase of verbal and physical assaults in Ottawa. I'm here today because women I care about are being discriminated against. I'm here today to support women's right to choose what they wear and to help ensure that they are not discriminated against or made to feel unsafe on our streets and in our communities. I'm here today to support women's rights to practice their religion, this right which is upheld in our Charter of Rights. I'm here today to learn to be a better ally, how to be a better ally, to learn how to better support Muslim women in Ottawa, to stand up for women's rights, to stand up against discrimination and violence against women. In short, I am here to join with many of you to be an ally. And now we are honored to have Ottawa Police Chief Charles Bordeleau here today to speak. Let's give Chief Bordeleau a warm welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here today, and I've got a fairly busy schedule. And when I was asked to come and speak, I said, "Okay, I'll jam it in between a couple of events." And after seeing the activity on social media today, the past couple of days, and the ridiculous and offensive comments that were posted there, I'm really happy that I'm here today to at least to show the support of the Ottawa Police Service. So I want to thank C.A.W.I, Activa, OLIP, and the Coalition for Community Health and Resource Centers for the invitation to speak today and just to say a few words. So it's great to see so many of you here gathered to support all the women of Ottawa. And I'm here to support and to show you that the Ottawa Police Service stands firmly behind each and every one of you. Ottawa is very fortunate to have such a diverse and talented and active group of women from all walks of life. We know that women are disproportionately affected by violence. That includes the ways in which hate and Islamophobia impacts our communities. Everyone, regardless of their backgrounds, deserves to live in a city free from violence and hatred. Violence against women is a priority for myself and for the Ottawa Police Service, and we've been working very closely with all our partners to prevent, to reduce, and to end violence against women. We are here for you, and we will provide the support that you need. Chacun d'entre nous, quelles que soient ses origines, mérite d'habiter dans une ville à l'abri de la violence et de la haine. La lutte contre la violence contre les femmes est une priorité du service de police d'Ottawa. Avec nos partenaires, nous collaborons de près à prévenir, atténuer et à mettre fin à la violence faite aux femmes. I also want to remind you that incidents of hate and violence against women need to be reported. Sometimes this means reaching out to a trusted service provider first before reaching out to the Ottawa Police Service. It's difficult to help you if we don't know about it. We remain committed in our efforts and look forward to working with our partners and local community leaders to make Ottawa a safer place for everyone. Once again, thank you so much for inviting us. We have a number of representatives here from the Ottawa Police Service who stand firmly behind you, beside you, to combat Islamophobia and to combat violence against women. Merci beaucoup, and I look forward to the first part of the dialogue. So thank you very much. Merci.
in Islam is a broad concept, which I cannot talk about today given the short time I have. Instead, I'll directly start with my experience about hijab. When I started wearing it and why. What has been its impact on me as a Muslim woman living in pro-hijab and anti-hijab countries, and whether I'll continue practicing it. Before I do so, I'll briefly talk about myself. I'm from Afghanistan, sought refuge in Pakistan when I was 5, and lived there for 18 years. While living in a refugee camp in Peshawar, unlike a million other refugee children, I was one of the lucky girls who made it to refugee-led schools, and later on went to college to study medicine. Although I never finished my medical school since the Taliban shut down all refugee-run universities, but I completed my education. I used to wear a headscarf since my first day at school at age 6. But I was not obliged to wear in a way to cover my head or to cover my hair. Until grade 7, when one day one of my female teachers stopped me in our school playground and scolded me so harshly until I passed out and fell on the bushes nearby. Later, when I found myself in wet school uniform lying on a table under a ceiling fan, the same teacher came and said, "You will not be allowed to attend school if you don't put on a larger scarf and do not cover head properly." I was terrified, so instead of telling my parents what had happened to me, I asked my father to buy me a larger headscarf, and he did so the next day. I started wearing the headscarf, not even understanding why, until I came across some books about women's rights in Islam. Finally, when I was in grade 9, it was then that I enjoyed wearing it. For me, hijab became my identity because it protected me from hearing cuss words and street harassment. Additionally, it did not stop me from doing anything I wanted. Well, as a refugee girl, all I wanted was getting an education. However, it changed in grade 11 when my mom harshly asked me to remove my headscarf in my aunt's wedding. This time, I did not faint. I just left the wedding hall, and throughout the party, I questioned myself why my mother does not want me to be veiled, although we both are Muslims. Educated in a pro-communist Afghanistan, my mom associated hijab with backwardness, whereas for my dad, it was a religious practice, but he never forced it on me or my sisters. Knowing my dad is supportive of my hijab, I went against my mom's wish. I'm glad I did so. But no hard feelings to the moms here. I respect and I love all moms. Just because of all the small fabric around my head, upon repatriation from Pakistan in 2002, I was able to visit the worst parts of Afghanistan and open schools where girls could also study. I was able to convince village leaders to let the abandoned mosques be used for schools, for girls' schools. My hijab made it possible for me to stop numerous child and forced marriages in the most illiterate and male-dominated communities. My hijab made it possible to run campaigns on elimination of violence against women. My hijab made it possible to raise political awareness of women and encourage them to participate in politics. My hijab made it possible for me to get fathers and brothers committed to invest in their daughters' primary as well as secondary education. My hijab led to education of 1,000 girls who otherwise could have been victims of forced marriages and various forms of other violence. Today, they are teachers, lawyers, managers at national and international organizations. Most importantly, they are role models for the rest of Afghan girls and women. If hijab was harmful in any way, I'm sure I would not have been confident and empowered enough to change negative mentalities about women's rights to getting an education and the right to work. If hijab meant oppression, it would not have been possible for me to get my education 1,000 miles away in the United States when I was married for only 4 months. Leaving a groom for 4 years behind in Afghanistan was not an easy thing. Certainly, it is impossible for me to be called oppressed hijabi woman. In the past, especially in the east part of the world, particularly if a woman is from Afghanistan. Now, let me briefly explain what hijab took away from me. It has been a double-edged sword. Yes, it is indeed. My hijab helped me educate women, which is my honor, but it also resulted in my personality being questioned by the Taliban. A woman who has been educated in the West but still practices hijab and educates women in rural areas seemed mysterious to the Taliban. In the eyes of the Taliban, my life and education in the West should have made me look Western. The fact that I kept my Islamic identity by wearing Islamic hijab, they labeled me as a Western spy, actually more than a spy. They assumed as if I was a missionary too, trying to convert Afghan women to Christianity or any other faith. Thus, women like me become soft targets for the Taliban and their like-minded people. By murdering hijabi women like me, they think they will be rewarded with heaven. As a result, many women like myself end up leaving our countries and loved ones for good, not necessarily to save our lives, but also the lives of our family members and the people we work with. To be deprived of living in our country is not enough. Women like me have to pay a lifetime price just because of a piece of cloth, which brings no harm to any creature on earth, let alone human being. In many Western countries, I'm labeled terrorist. I'm called names in the streets. I'm told, go back to your country. I'm unwanted by terrorists and extremists in my country where only 40% of the people are educated or semi-educated. Sadly, I'm unwelcome in the most educated countries of the world too. They are countries populated with highly educated democrats, freedom-loving and respectful citizens. In some, I will preserve my hijab because it has let me do more good than harm. My hijab has transformed lives and given hopes to people for a better life and a better world. Thus, I urge everyone to celebrate the numerous things we all human beings have in common, and let not the very small differences divide us and spread hatred. Islamophobia, in or harassing hijabi women in streets, let the devil win over humanity. Therefore, let's fight hatred so that love, respect, integrity, freedom, and democracy win. Thank you, and God bless you all.
We are making this campaign because of the rise of Islamophobia, and one of the way the Muslims are facing discrimination against is because of the hijab, and the women who are openly wearing the hijab are the most vulnerable to face the discrimination and the hate. So we are here to educate people, create an awareness, and also bring community partners together to address this issue.
Are you finding that you are seeing any overt Islamophobia, or have you been attacked personally with regards to your wearing of the hijab in Ottawa?
Yes, I have been, while I'm driving, I have seen people taking their middle finger at me, looking at me, staring at me when I walk into the store. So it depends. There are so many people who are supporting and caring and understanding, but at the same time, there are people who are really against it. Yeah.
Could you talk a little to the point of being a garment of choice versus a garment of religion or a garment of requirement for the Muslim faith, and how people may not understand women's willingness to wear the hijab?
I can speak for myself. It's a garment of choice to show my religious belief. And I started wearing it when I was a third-year university student, and my parents, my father, my mother, my brother, none of them had no idea. When I came back to a vacation and they saw me just with hijab, and they said, what's changed? So it's a choice for me as a person, but it depends who you talk to. I understand there are some women in some part of the world who are being forced to do so, and I believe that's cultural or traditional practice, but for me it's a choice, but to show my religion or my religious identity, and I have chosen to do so.
What do you have to say to people today with regards to accepting the hijab in Canadian society, and why they may be afraid of it, and how can you maybe dispel some of those fears?
I would say to fellow Canadians that we are women like you who have inspiration, who have goals, who have families, children, and who have all the day. We are very normal people. Talk to us, ask us if you have a question. You could find this on C.A.W.I's website, the Muslim community section.
And that is, the address is?
C.A.W.I City for All Women Initiative website. You go to the website and you will find.
I'm with the Ottawa Coalition to End Violence Against Women.
Tell us a little bit about the event and your alliance.
So C.A.W.I is really happy to be a co-sponsor of today's Solidarity Day because we believe strongly that women wearing hijab experience Islamophobia and that is a form of violence against women. So we want to stand in solidarity with our visibly Muslim sisters as well as women who may not be wearing a hijab but are also Muslim. I think it's really important that a lot of people express concern about women's rights and that the hijab is a symbol of violence against women. And we do think there's a legitimate concern that some women in Canada, not just elsewhere, are coerced into wearing hijab, but that it does nothing to help those women to critique them for wearing hijab. In fact, you could isolate and further marginalize them, and if they are being coerced to wear hijab, they're probably experiencing other forms of violence at home, and they need access to services, and they will be less likely to seek out help if they experience Islamophobia and hate on a daily basis because of what they wear.